our second keynote speaker, Mr. Tshifularo. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. He will correct me when he gets here. Okay, I'm quickly going to read out the bio. Mr. Tshifularo is a dynamic and passionate productivity practitioner, facilitator, trainer, and coach with 20 or more than 20 years of experience as an impressive track record in business rescue, organizational development, change management, productivity, improvement, strategic strategic session facilitation, and public speaking and project management. He is currently the executive manager at Productivity SA. He is leading the development and implementation of turnaround strategies for South African companies across all sectors and provinces facing economic distress to preserve jobs in line with the Presidential Jobs Summit Framework Agreement, the National Development Plan, as well as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 8, in order to promote employment, growth, productivity, and competitiveness. Before he started working in his current role, he was a senior manager still at Productivity SA. He was also a part-time lecturer at TUT. His role at TUT included teaching and guiding postgraduate students in operations, production management field using state-of-the-art systems, technology, and innovations based on enormous experience of working with the field and international exposure through the study missions in development and highly competitive countries like Japan and Singapore. He holds a BTech in production management from Tshwane University of Technology, hello, and Masters of Business Administration obtained from the University of Stellenbosch. Mr. Tshifularo, please join us. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I thought she was introducing somebody else.
Well, thanks a lot, colleagues. It's a pleasure really to be here. Productivity South Africa is a long-term partner of Tshwane University of Technology, even those days when it was Pretoria Technical, and we were still National Productivity Institute. So we've been around for over 50 years. Of course, transforming our business model as the time moves on. Let me recognize the Executive Dean, the researchers that are here, Gibela colleagues. I've had these colleagues from ESITA as well, the academia and the scholars that are here. As I was sitting there, I really struggled. Trying to think, what should I tell you today? Because I know this issue of productivity is central to the work of this department. So I knew I would be talking to the converted. And from all the papers that have been read, you will hear that one common benefit thread that is flowing along all the papers is productivity improvement. So which means here really we are talking to the converted, and it really pleases us as Productivity South Africa, because we believe productivity is everybody's business. Everybody should actually be involved in productivity. If I can just see the next slide, just an overview. Don't pass there. So I'll be addressing you on 4 areas really. I don't want to take an assumption that all of us know what Productivity South Africa is. So I will give a bit of overview. I will also want to provoke us. I think it's very important because scholars are there to solve problems. So we need to create that burning platform, so that at the end of the day, scholars can be engaged and be able to solve societal challenges. And I will end with some of the things that we're looking at in order to address the challenges that I would have highlighted. Let's move on. Peter Drucker is a well-known management guru in the world. And he has these words to say about productivity that I like so much. He said, growth that adds volume without improving productivity is fat. When you get married, in those days, when you get married in those days, what the elders will normally do when you visit them, maybe after a year or so, they judge how good a new relationship is based on how you have grown. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Yesterday was Sunday.
Amen.
So basically, it means when you get married, what you used to weigh and what you should weigh after a year, as time goes on, there should be a difference, and the scale should go a bit up.
Amen.
To them it shows that their son or their daughter is well taken care of.
Amen.
It's amazing how the paradigm has really shifted over the years. Because it means when you had a six-pack when you got married, they wanted you to have a big one pack. That was the sign that, our child is being taken care of. So, but things have changed drastically. We realized that, hey, it's really not a very good measure of success. The gaining of weight. As Drucker said, growth that adds volume without improving productivity is fat. So it's unhealthy growth. So it's not encouraged. He said growth that diminishes productivity is cancer. So it goes further into serious health challenges, which might be fatal in certain instances. That if you are indeed growing, but productivity is diminishing, then that is not going to be sustainable. So we are all for long-term sustainability, of whatever system that we might actually be thinking of. That's what this profession is all about. All these papers is about how do we enhance long-term sustainability of the various systems that we're actually engaging with. So we all know that all countries are striving to improve quality of life of their citizens. So that's what we are grappling with. How do we improve that quality of life in a sustainable way? Can you move on? These are the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. I think there's roughly about 195 countries in the world. 193 of them, which is like 99%, are actually members of the United Nations. So they agree on certain things. They agree on what the challenges are and what kind of goals needs to really be achieved over a given period of time. There are two countries that are not members, they have a non-member observatory status at the United Nations. So you can say there's consensus that these are the challenges, these 16 challenges that the world is facing and that the world is grappling with until 2030. After 2030, they will come with something else. We used to have Millennium Developmental Goals before Sustainable Development Goals. And all of your papers that you're talking about is in a way contributing to one of these areas. 17, I don't consider. Hey, let's clap the hands. So, number 17 is not really a goal on itself. It's the realization that all these things are not silos. They are interconnected. Talk about system thinking. one affect the other in one way or the other. So it means when we say we are solving problems, we should be able to see it represented somewhere there. Because these are the problems that the world is actually grappling with. So these goals are basically to address problems. And you can see what number one goal is. In our continent, this is huge. The issue of poverty. It's a serious problem. Hence, the professor is saying, hey, we're in Africa. What are we contributing to deal with our social challenges? What kind of framework are we using to actually look at the world? Because we should really be solving what our current problem is. So hence, indigenous knowledge systems should actually be encouraged. It's not like we don't have ideas or systems on how we address challenges we have. But maybe generations gone by used not to write it down somewhere. But with people like ourselves, we need to take it to another level. Hallelujah. They look like converted people. Let's move on. So the mandate of Productivity South Africa is to promote employment growth and productivity. It is in that way that we contribute to the socio-economic development. I had the wonderful professor had. We're not just thinking of the capital system. No. We're also thinking of the social system as well. So we need developments in both those fronts because we believe that's the way we should really contribute to the prosperity of our nation. And as I've indicated, this sits directly with your Sustainable Development Goal number 8. So the issue of productivity, even globally, is a key goal that is there. And it finds its way from the United Nations to the different agencies of United Nations. For instance, your International Labour Organization, that really governs the workspace. So when you see policies that are coming with this basic conditions of employment and all those kind of things, it comes from conventions, from ILO, which actually came from the Sustainable Development Goal number 8. Your World Health Organization is also an entity, and World Trade Organization, so many of them. So this flows into our region through Agenda 2063, and at a national level through the National Development Plan. Let's move on. So that's our vision, to lead and inspire a productive and competitive South Africa. If you look as to how we go about doing it, it's a simple process that we follow whenever we want to solve problems. We diagnose what the problem is. We need to understand what the problem is. It's also what you are using as researchers as well to address certain issues. And of course you end up coming up with certain recommendations, and then whoever is the recipient of that needs to buy into those. Once they buy into those, then they need to be implemented to see if indeed they will be able to achieve the desired results that we have set for ourselves. But we believe in continuous improvement. Hence we need to monitor and evaluate how can we even offer better solutions at the end of the day. And those are some of the benefits of productivity. As you said, productivity is everyone's business. Everybody benefits. Let's move on. We believe this is the business that we are in. Sustainable value creation. Long-term sustainability of our enterprises, as well as creation of jobs. Because it's of no use that we enhance profitability and then we leave the people out of it. So if you look at the Global Commission on the Future of Work, they say it should be people-centered. We should actually move along with the people. Because it should be, our solution should be serving our people at the end of the day. That's why we go out to try and resolve all these 16 issues that Sustainable Development Goals actually represent. So, and we're looking at long term. We're not looking at things that we do for the benefit of today and then tomorrow they are no more. We want solutions that are sustainable. Let's move on. This is just another way of showing benefits of productivity. You know, from the workplace and even in terms of stakeholders, the kind of benefits that they get. So you can see that at the end of the day, everybody can actually derive benefit from productivity. I'll be moving quite fast because I know I'm standing between you and your lunch. So they, at a country level, at organizational level, at workers level, those are some of the benefits. Let's move on. So our strategic focus is anchored on those 4 areas: enterprise competitiveness and sustainability, as well as job preservation, and evidence-based planning, monitoring and evaluation, and the productivity culture in the workplace and everywhere else. Let's move on. So as Productivity South Africa, we have solutions and interventions during the entire life cycle of a business. From cradle to the grave, we offer something. So when businesses emerge, we have tailored interventions to help them, like your emerging businesses that have just started up. You know, usually they need basics. When businesses have been around for a while and they're stable and they want to take on the world, they want to go to export, we also go there to address issues of global competitiveness. And when businesses start to fail, to decline, or are in distress, we also have programs there to turn around those businesses back to the growth trajectory. So we have various interventions across the business life cycle that we actually offer. But at the heart of it is to ensure long-term sustainability of those enterprises. But we are biased as Productivity South Africa towards the SME market. This is what one research in 2018 came up with from IBM, where they come with these stats that 65% of employment is from SME in our region. So which means we need to prioritize this target market whenever we want to solve our problems. Because these are the ones that will ensure that our people are employed. Because there's a lot of room for growth in that particular area. So hence in our service, we do offer services to everyone. But we have a special interest in the SME market, and it's majority of the players within our continent. So as Productivity SA, we also participate in an entity called Pan-African Productivity Association, where we have productivity centers across the continent as well, you know, with different agendas, which we are pushing even through the African Union. Let's move on for the sake of time. So, but what does the productivity and competitiveness landscape look like at the moment? I've used there the Institute of Management Development Competitiveness Yearbook. For a number of years, we have actually been declining in the various categories that they are using as South Africa. Even productivity overall, you can see most of the indicators are showing decline. And we know that our economy has not been doing well. You know, even before the pandemic, we're actually already in technical recession. So which means we are not doing very well. These are serious challenges that we need to have solutions for. Let's move on. I've also looked from the Global Innovation Index. This is compiled by World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, which is one of the United Nations entities as well. So this is where people really register their IP globally to be able to, so they're able to see which countries are moving in terms of innovations more than others. And those are some of the broad areas that they look at and some of the indicators as well. So these are important things for innovation. Let's move on. So it shows you who the top countries are. It's about 130 countries that are participating in this particular index. And you can see we're around 61, you know. We're in the middle, you know, of those countries that are participating. Of course, there are many countries that don't necessarily participate. With global indexes, one of the challenges is that you need to have a very strong statistical capability to collect data. So South Africa does have Stats SA and other entities that help with that. Even with IMD, I think it's just over 60 countries participating in Institute of Management Development. Because it's not largely qualitative, it's very much quantitative. So we find that countries can't participate because they cannot provide the level of data that they require. Because they have over 300 little indices that they're actually looking at. Most of them are very quantitative, as opposed to the one that World Economic Forum publishes, the Global Competitiveness Index, which is largely qualitative. So by just participating there, it's a good thing. And you know, we should actually love this kind of things because it's a reflection, it's a mirror. When you don't like what you are seeing, you don't break the mirror, do you? You have to work so that you change the situation to be a situation that you will be comfortable with. This is where continuous improvement comes from, because you start to see where our challenges are, what kind of intervention can we put in place, what kind of solutions are actually required to move us from one level to the other. Let's move on. So here they're looking at the top in terms of the regions as well. You know, you will see there's a map there on Mauritius and South Africa, because there was a bit of inconsistency with figures that Mauritius have submitted in 2019. This is the 2021, you know. But yeah, we were somewhere as far as innovation is concerned, but still a big room for us to improve. Let's move on. So they tell you in terms of the top spenders in innovations in the world, you know, in terms of sectors. You can see ICT is huge because we are going global. The economy, we are going digital. The economy is going digital. You can see they've divided it even into two areas, but it's still massive, where they look at hardware and electronic equipment, and on the other side, about the softwares and stuff. So when you take ICT in its entirety, it's massive. That's where most of the developments are actually coming. Here we're talking of patents and all those kind of things that really represent IP in its different forms. Let's see who are the players. Let's move to the next slide. So the size of the bubble is in relation to the spending that those businesses are making. You can see Huawei, the Chinese, they're actually making inroads. Hence the US administration, the previous one, really wanted to try and hinder their growth and development because they are coming along. You know, you can see even Volkswagen, which we have a plant here in is it called Tereka or
PE?
Yeah, that name. I'm trying to be politically correct. I know the executive dean used to live there.
Yeah.
Maybe she can pronounce it properly for us. So these are players that are actually investing more than any other within that space, which tells you who are going to lead the innovation space in the future. And you don't find that is something massive. So we should actually have that orientation. What value am I really adding to society? That's when we are really solving problems. That's when the industry will actually respect scholars. To say, indeed, we were grappling with this, you came with the solution, we can see what kind of impact it has made. I see the program director is looking at the phone, the watch.
Fine. We'll have lunch later.
Do you know this gentleman? So when we are talking about innovation, we are really talking about change. You know, if you look at his definition of insanity, I think he was trying to look like the insane one. He said, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So which means we actually need to change how things are done. That's what innovation is. The Japanese only use two words for innovation: Kaizen and Gaikaku. The small improvements that we make and the big breakthroughs that we make. That's how they understand innovation. No wonder they're leading the lean movement. the Toyota production system is way ahead in terms of those best practices. You know? So they always say simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. It's not about using big jargons. It's really bringing solutions that will help people. Because when you are speaking of other people's heads, what's the use? It means your solution will not be implemented. It will not be able to add value. So we need a change agenda. And as Productivity South Africa, we went to the World Economic Forum in 2019 and engaged with them seriously as to how do we go about moving our level from the competitiveness level that we are in, even the innovation level that we are in, to a higher level. How do we continuously improve? The World Economic Forum, of course, loved the triple P model. Public-private partnerships. So they see the world through those particular eyes. When they go to Davos, that's what they're thinking of. How do the public sector and private sector work together? You know, they don't complicate it like the executive does. It's quadruple helix. You know? A few years ago, we were talking of the triple helix. You know? Doesn't both the public and private sector should come along to really address these particular challenges? And they say if we address it in these 4 areas, have transformative entrepreneurship, patient investment, new markets, and foresight, we'll start moving up the competitiveness and innovation ladder. And there are certain questions, if you go to the next slide, which are critical in both those categories. What forces drive on rapid growth of new companies with innovative ideas? We've just said most of our new companies are dying within 3 years. So we need to find out why are they dying? Because it's not in the interest of society that they die. They're an important player in uplifting the standard of living of the citizens of our countries. So we need to be able to remove those barriers. You know, if you go to the World Bank, the ease of doing business, where they will actually show you what the impediments are. So we should have focused attention to how do we remove those so that we can be able to be like economies of Singapore and everywhere else, you know, which is like Pretoria. It's like Tshwane, but, you know, in all indices you will look at, you will find them at the top. Why? It means there's certain things we can learn from them. Let's stop saying this thing will now, to now we are unique, blah, blah, blah. Let's learn whatever we can learn from others. Benchmark, go and take whatever is usable, reject whatever won't take you further.
Yeah.
That's how knowledge systems should actually work. And these are some of the areas that we have done as Productivity said to look at it. It's all about partnerships. We should stop thinking of ourselves as silos. Hence we have gone into a partnership with Tshwane University of Technology. We have a memorandum of understanding. The chair and I are looking at that memorandum of understanding. How do we take these ideas and make sure that they are commercialized? How do we take it to the market that we are servicing so that they can start adding real value? You know? Tomorrow, I don't want to be quoting Einstein, who died a long time ago. I want to be quoting Kolan. So we need an integrated training and skill development ecosystem, as well as enterprise development ecosystem and research and innovation. And we need a movement behind productivity. All of us need to be champion. You know, in some circles, productivity is a swear word. Because we have really abused productivity in the past, especially industrial engineers. I remember when I was an industrial engineer at Nissan, the IE manager will tell you, go to that production line and give me so many heads. It means you have to cut the number of employees. He was not interested in a different solution, you know, towards the same problem. He wanted to reduce costs. But he's limiting you to head count, which is one of the things that frustrated me to live there, because it just didn't go well with my wiring. Or what if I reduce the same cost you want in a different way? You know, and this is where the real Japanese now. I'm not talking about the ones from Brest that were running that company. When they do that, even if they've moved a resource from a particular area, they redeploy it somewhere. Hence, those people are moving behind productivity like no man's business. Because they can see it's not something to take them out. It's something to really benefit them and to make them work smarter and better. And we should have that kind of thinking and mentality. Because our problem as Africa is that we have high levels of unemployment. We are a young population, young generation, but most of them are idling. You know, they end up they're getting involved in some social ills, you know. We need to be worried about that. That's not the problem of the Singaporeans and the Europeans. You know, in Singapore, they don't have many people. Else they need to rely on robots to try and build that capacity. We have excess capacity we're not using. Hence our competitiveness looks very bad. Because you are sitting with a huge resource that is underutilized. We should be finding solutions that are appropriate to our own situation. I think I'm towards the end. Let me see if Einstein has something to say. He said, life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. And I know this, I'm a cyclist. Moments that I lost it while on the bike and thought of being somewhere else, I've paid a very good price for it. You need to keep moving. You know, Uimandu in my language. Yeah. So you should not stop. Those of you who are presenting papers here, I know it's tough. I know supervisors sometimes make you feel like, you know, you should continue moving. We need you to take it to another level. Because nobody is going to solve